Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is George with Win Your Wealth, and today I wanted to drop in and discuss a little bit around the dynamics in the market in regards to the coronavirus. I'm not going to edit this video. It's going to be a pretty lax video in terms of my communication, my editing. It's going to be pretty straightforward, different from what I've been doing in my other videos. But I just want to get this stuff out there as quickly as possible because I believe it'll make a big difference in the impact of my subscribers. First and foremost, I really hope that at this point, at the time that you're watching the video, that you guys haven't been severely impacted by COVID-19 and that you guys are safe and sanitary and hopefully in somewhat of a isolated form, right? Either staying at home more often, trying to limit interaction with other people in person. I know my company that I work for had just released a work from home policy that we need to abide by, and I'm hoping that the rest of the companies out there also do their part to do that. I'm interested to see what the dynamics will be with the school districts and universities and things like that. But as part of the work that I do on a day-to-day basis, I get the privilege to be able to help cities and public utilities, K through 12s, work through some of this stuff, and it's been a pretty great honor, and I look forward to doing that. From a financial perspective, obviously, there's a lot of panic out there in the environment, and I'm here to hopefully shine a light on that panic and keep you on course. First and foremost, I want to say that if you guys are long-term investors, meaning that you have money in 401ks, in IRAs, you've probably seen a pretty big plummet in your accounts depending on the type of investments that you have in there. And what do I have to say to that? Well, first, if you have a long trajectory until the day that you need to retire, so for me, for instance, I'm not looking at retirement age until maybe 55, so I got 30 years or so to go, maybe even more. And because of that, you shouldn't, and I am not really concerned about any short-term dips in the market. So you look back 2008, a lot of people panicked because of the crash of the real estate market and properties, and all those people that ended up selling out or getting out or moving their money to cash or bonds or other type of investments ended up losing money because they ended up selling at the low of the market. When you think about investments and just business in general, you always want to think about buy low and sell high, right? That's common knowledge, but for whatever reason, when it comes to investing and putting your money into retirement, people forget that, right? We are all very emotional investors, we all are, and we have to make sure that we combat that emotion with logic and reason. So for those of you that have a long trajectory to retirement, I would say keep the course, stay the course, primarily invest 90+% of your holdings in stocks and equities, right? That's really all that I would recommend. Maybe some real estate investment trust, keep some money out in international equities as well, and low-cost index funds, like I always say. Keep the course and keep investing, because keep in mind right now, prices and the cost for these stocks and index funds are extremely low. So you're getting them at a great price. They will eventually go up. And honestly, if this ends up being the end of us, then the money that we have in our 401ks and IRAs really doesn't matter, right? It's really a moot point. But assuming that things are going to get better, which I have pretty good confidence that they are, you're buying stocks and equities at a discount right now. So stay the course. For those of you that are closer to retirement, maybe 10 years or even closer to retirement, hopefully by now you have shifted, or I should say previous to now, hopefully you've shifted from an allocation of mostly stocks to a more balanced, 60% stock or 50% stock to 50% bonds or 40% bonds. 60-40, 50-50 between stocks and bonds is pretty common. for somebody that's in retirement or getting close to retirement, sort of at a glide path. If you haven't done that and you're invested mostly in stocks, I don't really have a whole lot of advice to say other than you might end up having to work a little bit longer than you anticipated because of this drop. What do I recommend that you do with the money that's there now? If you wanted to start moving some of your stocks into bonds, you can do that. However, I would recommend that you talk to a financial professional around exactly what to do. I don't believe in market timing. I've never been a proponent of that, but I could see why maybe you would want to consider moving into bonds. But again, talk to a financial professional, and again, hopefully you guys are already in bonds, right? As you approach maybe about 15 or so years before your retirement, you want to start moving some of your stocks over into bonds slowly, little by little, until you hit your allocation for retirement, which is usually around 60-40 to 50-50, depending on your situation. And I'm talking, of course, in general terms. My disclaimer here is absolutely make sure that you check with a financial professional. I'm just a guy here on YouTube trying to do my best to help. If you're currently in the position where you have money to invest, I'll give you an example that I have right now in real life for me. I have a couple of things going on, right? I recently bought my home, which I'm sitting in the courtyard. It's very nice day to be out here. I bought this home at pretty much the highest point of the interest rate percentages last year. So I bought it like in the high 4% on a 30-year term, on a 30-year mortgage. So right now, interest rates are dropping, and they're dropping to historic lows. So within the next couple of months, I plan to probably refinance the home so that I can get a much more attractive interest rate and pay less in interest and hopefully pay off my house sooner. Because of that, I am not looking at opening up credit cards anymore. I'm not looking at opening up any car loans, which I wouldn't do in either case. I like the idea of paying for cars in cash. But lo and behold, right now when all this stuff happens, I have a car, a 2011 Chevy Cruze, that's really only worth about $2,000 at this point, that I still drive, still works well. But I started to have some issues with it again this past month. Luckily that was fixed, and hopefully I can drive it for another 6 months or so until I can get my house refinanced, at which point I can go ahead and maybe save up cash for another car. Right now that we are in this predicament where we don't know where things can go, hopefully things will stay within, kind of a stage 1 where we still have access to water, electricity, police department and services, things like that. If that's the case, all I would recommend for you to do is maybe have $1,000 saved up for some kind of emergency, and probably you might want to have some of that in cash, in physical cash with you, in case anything happens to the communications for ATMs or things of that sort, right? So you want to have some cash on you. You obviously want to have food on you, right? Right now I see a huge hysteria of people going out buying toilet paper and bottled water. Toilet paper I actually kind of get, but I had toilet paper. I bought some a couple weeks ago. I'm not really too worried about that. If you are worried about that, and you believe that the stock of toilet paper is always going to be low for the next foreseeable future, buy a bidet, right? You can get on Amazon, buy a bidet that you can install onto your toilet seat. You should be good. Don't worry about toilet paper. You should be worried about maybe collecting some food, having some cash. You may even want to get some bottled water. Now, bottled water is also kind of a luxury right now as stores are completely empty. Well, I know this video is all over the place, but I'm trying to give as much information as I can. If you fill up your tub, right, you close the tub, you fill it up with water, you have several gallons of water there. And no, you don't want to drink that water, but you have water that you can then boil, and then you can set to rest, and you can drink that water. In some places, water from the tap is actually good, and it tastes fine, and it's perfectly okay to drink. However, like here, I would probably fill up the tub. In a worst case scenario emergency, I could use that water from the tub, boil it, cool it off, use it, drink it, shower, things like that. So just another alternative thought I would throw out there. For those of you that have extra money that aren't in a predicament where you need to have some cash, where you need to save up for a car, where you're thinking about refinancing, or all the other things that I'm currently trying to weigh out, which is a reason why I'm not investing in the market. But if you are in a predicament where you have a lot of extra money, right now might be the time for you to look at maybe buying into the market either on your IRA or your taxable account. I have been thinking about doing this for a long time, and I've been waiting for a downturn, and the downturn is here. And so let's just say, for instance, you had maybe $5,000 to invest into the market. You may not want to do that all at once because the market may go even lower. Is it going to go lower? I don't know. It might, probably will, but maybe it won't, right? So the point is that in order to mitigate the risk of you buying at a high when you could have bought lower next week or next month, set up what's called a dollar cost averaging. All that means is if you have $5,000, you'll set up a schedule where you invest part of that money every week until you're done with the $5,000. So you'll buy some this week, you'll buy some next week, you'll buy some next week. And what I would recommend for you to buy is either, again, into index funds, or if you want to speculate and maybe buy some companies that you've been wanting to buy for a long time, but you haven't been able to because you thought they were too expensive, maybe you can do that now that they're on sale, right? But you want to time your purchases right with this dollar cost averaging. One of the platforms that I would recommend that you do that on is M1 Finance. It's very easy to do. Has fractional shares. There's I believe like a $100 minimum or something. It might actually be a $0 minimum for the taxable accounts, and you can also set up recurring deposits, automatic investing, and it has automatic rebalancing, all for 0 fees. So if you want to do that, there's a link for that in my description. If not, that's okay. Those are the things that I would recommend for you guys. So biggest thing is, like I said, if you're a long way from retirement, stay the course, keep buying. Dollar cost average throughout all the way to retirement. You're going to be fine. You have a long way to go. Right now, just think of it like you're buying stuff on discount and on sale, okay? You're going to be fine, promise. And if you're in retirement and you currently don't have bonds, you might want to consider shifting some of your stocks over to bonds, or you might want to consider just riding out the market for the next couple of years until it recovers. And during that time also, start thinking about a plan to shift out slowly but surely some of your stocks into bonds, so that bonds in general are much less volatile than stocks. And when these market downturns happen, you won't be stuck in the same predicament, right? The bonds will kick in, and some of the losses that you have in stocks will be minimized by the performance of stocks, of bonds rather. A lot of people run to bonds when the stock market is going down, and that's what's happening now, and that's what's happened before. And again, if you're in a predicament where you have everything that you need to deal with the coronavirus at home, you have your food, your water, any other things for the house, you have a way to communicate, you have a way to work, then and you don't have any other type of plans or responsibilities like myself, needing to buy another car soon in cash or refinancing my home. If you don't have any of those things to do, I would say now would be the right time to go ahead and perhaps look at dollar cost averaging into the market right now that the market is taking a plummet. That's what everybody's doing out there right now with extra money, if they have enough to shelter. So I see that my battery is dying. I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day, and stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.